Being that he was the previous pound for pound king before you, does he get a little more attention than other great fighters from you when it came to studying him on the way up? Or
Of course.
what'd you take from him?
He was my era.
What happens when one of the calmest and most disciplined champions in boxing finally reaches his limit? That's what fans just saw when Terence "Bud" Crawford strongly responded to Manny Pacquiao. Yes, the same Manny Pacquiao, the legendary fighter and 8-division world champion. After weeks of Pacquiao calling him out, hinting at a huge fight, and pushing claims that Crawford says are simply not true, Bud finally spoke out and made his feelings clear. Now people across the boxing world are talking about the tension between the two. Fans are questioning why Pacquiao is challenging fighters he may not realistically face, why Crawford believes Manny is being unrealistic, and why opinions in boxing are so divided over the situation. The drama began when Pacquiao returned to the spotlight. At 46 years old, he stepped back into the ring against Mario Barrios and quickly reminded fans of the past. But Manny didn't come back quietly. He returned with big names in mind, and near the top of his list was Terence Crawford.
Have you got any thoughts on that fight with Mario Barrios, and is there any chance we see you still in there at 46?
Nah, at 46, I don't plan on being back in the ring, but Mario Barrios is a great matchup for Manny Pacquiao. And I think, at this age, it's a 50-50 fight for Manny Pacquiao.
After returning, Pacquiao began publicly calling out Terence "Bud" Crawford, the same Crawford who recently moved up 2 weight classes to challenge Canelo Alvarez and is widely viewed by many fans as one of the best boxers in the world today. Manny openly said he wanted the fight, claimed he was ready for it, and made it clear that Crawford was the opponent he had in mind next.
What would you do to beat Terence Crawford that no one has been able to do yet?
Just counter the speed and hard punches and strong punches and moving around like side by side and throwing a lot of punches.
The boxing world quickly exploded with excitement because many fans would love to see Manny Pacquiao step into the ring with a modern great. But this is where the situation started to fall apart. Pacquiao didn't just call out Crawford, he also added a condition. He said he wanted the fight to happen at 140 pounds, which surprised many people since Crawford had just moved up to challenge Canelo Alvarez at 168 pounds and hasn't fought at 140 since many years ago.
If you were to fight, let's say Terence Crawford, what weight would you want to fight at?
147.
147 still?
Yeah.
All right, well, I think he might be watching this. This is going to make a little bit of news. Why don't you go ahead and challenge him right now?
Because my natural weight is 140. So, I'm just moving up to 147. So, it's not getting hard to reduce.
He says he wants to fight Canelo, maybe at 168 pounds. Do you imagine him beating Canelo at that weight?
I don't know. I can't imagine. Let's wait.
That was the turning point, and it's when Crawford finally lost his patience. Known for his respect and never speaking against legends, Bud had always stayed calm, but after hearing Pacquiao's demands, he couldn't hold back and basically told him, "Be serious."
Manny Pacquiao claimed that you were afraid to fight him. You want to clear that up?
Listen, we've been calling for that fight since 2015. Everybody know Bob Arum wanted to make the fight. Pacquiao and Freddie Roach, they didn't want them to fight. They wanted $20 million, which basically they outpriced themselves.
And what would you get?
I don't know.
From Crawford's perspective, Manny was overstepping by making demands he no longer has the authority to enforce. Pacquiao is no longer the superstar pulling huge pay-per-view numbers, and he isn't undefeated. Meanwhile, Crawford sees himself as the current face of boxing, holding the power and position in the sport today. So when Manny started dictating weight classes and acting like he still held the upper hand, Crawford felt disrespected. To him, it seemed like Pacquiao was ignoring how much the boxing world has changed.
When you look at my career and you look at his career, he had the support since he's been amateur. So he had money behind him since he was 15 years old. So he already had people that believe in him and put the money behind him and get him, in the best camps, put him in the best situations. All he had to do was focus on boxing. I never had that. You know, he had the support before he even was Canelo Alvarez.
Crawford's reaction isn't just about this one interview. It's rooted in years of frustration. Back in 2015, he was ready to fight Pacquiao, and negotiations were underway, but Pacquiao's team kept backing out, delaying the fight, and shielding Manny from a tough stylistic challenge during his prime. Crawford hasn't forgotten that.
You wanted to fight Manny Pacquiao. I think you were like 27, 28 when you wanted to fight Pac. Why didn't that fight happen?
I hear so many excuses like they didn't want it, but Freddie Roach on the record saying he didn't want Pacquiao to fight. I just think Top Rank wanted to protect Pacquiao because of the money issue.
Here's the twist. Now that Manny is older, slower, lighter, and far from his prime, he's calling out Crawford. To Bud, that feels disrespectful, like Manny waited until the real threat was gone. But the truth is, Crawford isn't any less dangerous. He's stronger and more dangerous than ever.
My advice to him is as he's moving up to his upcoming fight, make sure that he focus on speed. He focus on how to improve his strength and while maintaining the speed.
One thing that clearly frustrated Crawford is the old idea that he doesn't sell fights. Years ago, Pacquiao's team used that as an excuse. Fans repeated it, and promoters kept saying it too.
It feels great for one reason. A lot of people for years always ran with this narrative that I fight nobodies, I can't sell, I don't have personality, I'm this, I'm that, all these negative things. And look at all this, to see me fight Canelo. What can they say now?
Then everyone saw Crawford prove them wrong by delivering one of the biggest selling fights of the decade against Errol Spence, followed by headlining a massive event against Canelo Alvarez.
How hard did he hit? How hard did he hit?
He didn't hit as hard as I thought he was. You know, he's definitely technical, but, you know, I've been hit harder.
Major networks even competed to sign him, so when anyone, especially Pacquiao, repeated that old argument, Crawford wasn't willing to accept it. At this stage, the numbers speak for themselves. Bud is a superstar who sells fights, headlines major events, and elevates every opponent he faces. Hearing Pacquiao repeat the old claim that Crawford doesn't sell fights felt outdated and petty, and Bud made it clear he was done entertaining it. That's when the situation went nuclear. In an interview, when asked about Manny's legacy and why he isn't in Crawford's top 5, Bud dropped a shocking hint, suggesting that Pacquiao's best years suspiciously coincided with a time when advanced testing wasn't required, and once testing became mandatory, Manny's performance noticeably changed.
Terence Crawford is the best fighter on the planet. Pound for pound, he's that dude. In this 4-belt era, he is now the undisputed world champion 3 times over. 140 pounds, 147, now 168 pounds. Claiming all the belts. You don't see people doing that very often. Going up against a guy who was perceived as being bigger and stronger, Crawford was strong. Crawford was strong enough to fend him off, strong enough to make him respect his own power. He used his jab, he used his distance. He had poise in the ring, he wasn't rattled. He backed up and moved when necessary and kept his different. He exchanged enough to gain respect when necessary. It was a brilliant, masterful fight on Terence Crawford's part.
He didn't directly accuse Pacquiao, but the message was clear. Something didn't add up. That statement sparked a storm, and it wasn't just Crawford noticing it. Other professionals in the sport were seeing it too.
I don't got Manny Pacquiao top 5.
You
reason
don't?
why he's not up there.
But
You
why?
should know that reason.
It's your interview.
Man, Manny's a generational talented fighter. Like, he's accomplished what no other fighter is ever going to accomplish.
Yeah.
Again, you know, but I don't feel like, you know, he did it on his own. That's me personally, because for the simple fact, when Floyd made it a point for him to do the blood test, he didn't want to do the blood test. But then when he did do the blood test, he haven't got a knockout since.
Manny Pacquiao has faced steroid accusations before, from Mayweather, analysts, and fans, and even sued people over them. So for Crawford, the current pound-for-pound king, to hint at it again, it felt personal.
Well, the big one was Manny. Manny was the one that everybody was always accusing. And Manny was the first, I mean, Manny went up 8 weight classes.
Yeah.
And kept his knockout power.
He's fighting as a little boy and then just was like...
Crazy. I mean, and kept the knockout power.
True.
And most people thought that Manny was on PEDs.
Correct.
And then they thought that Manny got off PEDs when he fought Juan Manuel Marquez and he got starched.
But there's a two-sided story there. He got off PEDs and he also found Jesus Christ. So he stopped going to strip clubs, he stopped hanging out with girls, but he stopped having fun. And then got serious about Jesus and got knocked the fuck out.
That comment set the fan base on fire. Some viewed Bud as being honest, while others thought he went too far, but everyone agreed on one thing: Crawford was done holding back.
You were, see, you were, hold on. Talking to, let Aaron. You were, because you keep talking like you doing all that talking. That's how you doing all that talking. You can't be always talking. I come back. You don't talk, and you talking too much. This you want some attention? Some icon right here. This is gonna be legendary. Right here. Female ass. See y'all tune in. This is a legendary old school fight. Get out some attention. Put the camera on him because that's what he's doing. Showing out like a female. Let him finish, bud. Go ahead, EJ. Yeah, all right.
Crawford isn't just tired of being disrespected. He's on a whole new level. The moment he beat Canelo, the entire boxing world had to take notice.
Thank you, GOAT, because you are the GOAT of this era. Terence Bud Crawford.
Fans expected Canelo to control the fight, assumed the weight difference would give him the advantage, and thought Crawford would finally face someone he couldn't handle. Instead, the smaller fighter stepped into the ring, outboxed one of the era's greatest, and made history.
Terence Crawford had the ability to fight backwards and stay composed, good defense, hands was always up, countering everything that Canelo was throwing at him. He was just a little more active fight. Canelo did hit him to the body, but it was pretty much all Terence Crawford.
I think some of what we saw from Canelo is what he's has to resort to now to fight. Maybe he's dealt with some injuries to where he's not as mobile. It's just the pattern that he's put himself in for the last, 6 to 8 fights. That same pattern is why Bivol was able to get him.
He did not allow Canelo to get inside, man. As soon as Canelo would get into that certain range, you would jab him. We didn't see any like lateral moves where he would throw, push off to the side as we used to see Canelo Alvarez.
Canelo was almost smothering his shot because he couldn't stay at range with him. And Terence Crawford runs off counter combinations. It would be a wider margin if they fought again.
That victory didn't just boost Crawford's legacy. It moved him into a level that Manny Pacquiao is no longer in. Fans stopped comparing Bud to Manny and began comparing him to Floyd Mayweather, the same Mayweather who defeated Pacquiao.
Everyone is going to start making comparisons with your legacy to Floyd Mayweather. How do you feel you compare with Floyd with the resume you have now?
Listen, Floyd was the greatest in his era. I'm the greatest in my era. It ain't no need to compare me to Floyd or Floyd to me.
You talk the talk and you sure walk the walk. Your confidence and aura is on another level. Could we see a run as a light heavyweight?
Nah, we ain't going out that much.
Now.
And here's the wildest part. Canelo, who faced both Mayweather and Crawford in their primes, openly said that Crawford is better than Floyd. When a fighter of Canelo's caliber says that, people take it seriously.
If you can, compare and contrast the fight between yourself and Floyd Mayweather Jr. and tonight's bout with Terence Bud Crawford, if you can.
No, I think Crawford is way better than Floyd Mayweather.
That's why the idea that Crawford needs Pacquiao today doesn't make sense. We're past that comparison. Crawford doesn't need Manny, doesn't need validation, and doesn't even need another fight. If he retired tomorrow, his legacy would still be complete, undisputed, iconic, and untouchable.
For him to be this far along in all these years, I think that he's number one.
He's been non-committal about his future. Do you think we ever see him fight again?
I don't want to see him fight no more.
Oh, really?
In my opinion.
Really?
Nah, I don't. I think that it's just a lot. It's a lot. Like them training camps, that wear and tear on your body, and me being his brother. Like I really got like endless love for this guy. I don't want to see it. I think he did everything that in a sport that he could do. I think there's nothing else that can be done. He made one of the best fighters of our generation look average. And I think that's a huge accomplishment. And I think it's time to retire on the high horse.
Do you think he retires?
Knowing Bud, it's hard to say. Bud is crazy. I mean, I already know like what he can do in the boxing ring is different, and training camps, the hard work that he put in that comes together on fight night. He can go and do different things, and he don't have to retire. But for me, I would want to see it.
Manny Pacquiao calling out Terence Crawford is more about attention than a real fight. He knows he won't face Crawford at 147 or 168 pounds, won't agree to strict drug testing, and doesn't want to fight a top prime fighter at 46. The simplest way for him to stay in the spotlight is to name the biggest fighter today without ever intending to actually make the fight happen.
Manny Pacquiao won't fight him because...
Well, you said you don't want Manny to fight him.
Well, yeah, I don't want Manny to fight him because it's a devastation. And I still have a soft spot for Manny. And guys like Sean Gibbons and so forth don't want Manny to fight him because they feel the same way. Rule out a Pacquiao fight. Correct.
Did he mention as to why there was no interest in fighting Terence?
He thinks that Terence, with his skill set at this stage of Manny Pacquiao's career, would be too much.
Kind of looking at well, we have to be looking at that fight because he is one of the biggest guys, new guys out there, and he's a very good fighter, and he has great legs, and it's a difficult fight. Yeah.
This keeps Pacquiao in the spotlight, staying relevant in today's boxing scene and boosting his profile for exhibitions or smaller bouts, but Crawford sees through it. The reality is clear: a Crawford versus Pacquiao fight will never happen, not because Crawford is scared, nor because Manny is, but because the timing, weights, physical limits, and reasons just don't match up.
Manny, what do you make of Canelo saying that Crawford's a better fighter than Floyd Mayweather?
Crawford what?
Better than Floyd Mayweather. Canelo said that.
Crawford can beat...
No, Crawford said Canelo... Canelo said Crawford's better than Mayweather. What do you think? What's your assessment on that?
There's a different style, I mean, they're both good fighters, so it's hard to compare yourself to others.
Do you think Crawford can do any of what Mayweather did against Canelo? Do you think he can do any of that?
What, Canelo?
Can Crawford do any of what Mayweather did against Canelo?
That's a good fight, man.
We'll see. Thank you.
That's it for today's video. If you liked it, hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss our future videos, and be sure to share your thoughts in the comments. Stay tuned, and we'll see you next